me through the promised land. What a day, glorious day that will be.
Sing that last chorus one more time. Acapella, everybody sing if you will.
What a day that will be when my Jesus I shall see, and I look upon his face, the one who saved me by his grace. When he takes me by the hand and leads me through the promised land. What a day, glorious day that will be. What a day, glorious day that will be.
Everyone say praise the Lord. You may be seated. You have your Bible, go to Matthew 16, go to Galatians 5, go to Psalm 139. Just open the Bible up. How's that sound? We'll never talk to you about temperaments in the days, but the sanguine. The words phlegmatic and choleric, melancholic, sanguine may not mean that much to you. They need to. They need to mean a whole lot to you. You need to know what you are because you need to know what the people around you are. And it's vitally important. It's in the Bible, of course, this stuff is. So we need to know what's going on. It will help you in your marriage. It will help you know the will of God, know your temperament. It will help you raising children so much. Because you, parents, we can mess kids up if we force them to be what God did not mean for them to be. And then do we provoke rebellion. Boy, that's Ephesians 6:4. Fathers, do not provoke your children to wrath. Well, how do I do that? Because your kids are supposed to go that way. You make them go that way. And then we got rebellion in the house. And we think we got a bad kid. We don't have a bad kid. We got a bad parent.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. And amen over there. Yeah. No. Principles don't change on parenting. Methods do. Knows what the kid is. I don't know all these temperaments right here. I don't know them. I know that's the same one. You just one? Pretty much.
Yes.
Just have Same one. Don't step on his shoes. I made a mistake last week stepping on a man's shoes. Oh, too bad. I'm not sure. Introvert right here. Better know. Yeah. See, if I was parent right here, I would want to know everything about this front row. I would sit there and talk like you wouldn't believe in people's brains, what's going on. Go back there. Go back there. Well, no, you know you got a bad temper or not, amen? You know, I think so. You know you got a bad temper. You got a bad temper? Bad temper, Jim? Huh? Yeah. Probably looking at choleric right here. Choleric or sanguine. Now you need to know this stuff. You really do. Because you cannot discipline this person the way you discipline a melancholic or a phlegmatic. You will produce rebellion. You need to know what's going on. You can try to make your kids go this way the whole time, and the principle's the same, but the way you do it's different. Right? Let me get going, because I can tell I'm sort of bored here. Whenever there's a problem, the choleric tries to solve the problem. You'll say, let's fix this problem. The melancholic, they dwell on the problem. Look at that problem. Man, I cannot believe it. The phlegmatic, they don't know there's a problem. There's something wrong. In the same line, they're the problem. Yeah. So Psalm 139, verse 14 says, I will give thanks to you, for I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. One for all your works, and my soul knows it very well. I will give thanks to you. Aside from knowing that you belong to Jesus, the second most important thing in your life to know is your self-esteem. It's got to be right. I really just can't here. We got to make sure no man's self-esteem is right. Self-esteem's got to be good. Self-esteem. I've been eating lunch and supper with teenagers for the past 5 weeks. And I sit down and talk to them. And I will say, tell me about you. I will say, tell me what gives you satisfaction in life. I'll ask them on a range of 1 to 10. How do you view yourself? 1 being like, oh God, I need help. 10 being like, I love myself so much as absolutely impossible. I have yet to have anybody tell me I'm a number 10. Yeah. These church kids. But I could ask the same question to adults. There would be that many adults this morning that would say, man, I love myself so much it's absolutely unbelievable. Y'all with me? How in the world can we not love ourselves? You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You're a masterpiece. Walking down that aisle is the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour. This man right here. This man right here. Unbelievable. Walking down the aisle right there. I've been working on a Bible study now for 8 months. I'm getting a sermon in a minute. And I went to a Bible study this morning, like a seminar, and I've been working on it, and the title of it is, What Have You Learned from Life? What I want to do, I want to take adults and say, okay, how old are you? Okay, what have you learned from life? Most people say, I ain't learned nothing. Sad. You know what I mean? I'm over here tough, man. Just what about tough? Is that all you got? Life's tough. That's enough. So I got this seminar I want to teach, what have you learned about life? I got 18 questions I want to ask people. I want to see where they are right here, how they think about themselves. I'll just give you 5. If you could do your life over again, would you choose to be born to your parents or some other? There's a lot of people in here this morning who's real mad at their parents. When it comes to counseling, the number one thing we talk about in counseling is you got to honor your mother and your father. And if you have a bit of judgment toward your mom and your dad, we got a big issue. Because the rest of your life's going to be messed up. Do you know that? If you don't honor your mom and your dad, your whole life's going to be messed up. That's the promises in the book of Deuteronomy. And so that we got to work through that. Would you choose your father or some other father? Would you choose your mom or some other mom? Would you choose your face? Do you like your face? Would you choose your body? Do you like your body? And then we tell them, after we ask the 18 questions, we tell them, to the degree you're negative on the above 18 questions, to that degree you have a death wish, or you're angry at God because He didn't do the job right. And so we have these parents that doesn't have a right view of themselves and a right view of life, trying to raise kids to have a right view of life. And guess what? Mom and Dad screwed up. Are y'all with me?
Yes.
I like that answer, no. You say no? Different. All right, let's take a bird's eye view of the temperaments. I'm going with this. This is something I came up with. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 things. Sanguine. When it comes to the conversation, sanguines talk about everything. They talk about the weather, the friends, politics. Finally, they get to the point. When it comes to eating, they eat everything, enjoy about everything in the whole wide world. When it comes to driving, if you're God, pray for yourself if you drive with the sanguine. They just go, buddy. They just go. Listen to them. And that's when it comes to shopping, most sanguines, they look for how it looks and look for the price second. So when they go shopping, they deal with how it looks. When it comes to studying, they're usually a good student, but they're undisciplined and restless, very restless. When it comes to paying your bills, you're terrible. You will pay your bills after several reminders. Now with your temperament, you are a major minor. I am a choleric sanguine. Let's talk about the melancholic. Melancholics. Melancholics have this look on their face all the time. I dare you to make me happy. How's your day going? Good. Are you enthused about life? I mean, they are like Spock. In Star Trek. When it comes to eating, they're picky. When it comes to driving, they go from point to point, point to point. When it comes to shopping, they are deliberate and they look at price. See, here's why you need to know what your temperament is, and here's why you need to know who you're married to, because my wife and I, we used to have more fights over shopping than anything in the world. Then I figured out our temperaments, and I thought, now I know why we fight. I'm a choleric. Can I tell you how choleric shop? They do like this. I need a pair of shoes. Okay. I'll take those, let's go. That's how choleric shop. Can I tell you how melancholic shop? It's awful. Now imagine a choleric and a melancholic shopping side by side. I'm ready to go. We're going to look. What are you going to look for? Prices? Let's go. And so we got coupons. Oh, the devil. Coupons are from the pit of hell. That's all I know. They're going to say, well, get your things out, and they will look. And choleric are saying, dear God, help us right now. And so here's a choleric, here's a melancholic, we're married. Would you hurry up? I'm saving us money. You're making me mad while I'm trying to help you out. When you get me in, there's a fight going on. You're going to be that way, fine. And you're shopping, and you go home, and you're so mad, and you're trying to hurry them up. You can't hurry them up. Melancholics are trying to save every dime they can. Cholerics don't care. They just want to get out. So you figure out, that's how you are. So that's going to save a lot of fights. So what did you and Carter do? We don't go shopping. Amen? You just don't do it because we know it's going to be too expensive. Go to the melancholic. Go to the phlegmatic conversation. Takes them a long time to get one. Eating. Phlegmatics are the slowest eaters. They will take their time. Cholerics woof it down. Sanguines woof it down. But a phlegmatic, very deliberate. We got to cut this steak. All that kind of stuff. Driving, they're dangerous on the road. They're very pokey. I'll tell you what about phlegmatic. When it comes to building, Man, they had unbelievable charts. Now, when it comes to leadership, this is what is important. If you have a good leadership team, you need all four around you. You do. I'm not a detailed person. I'm so far from details, you didn't even want to know. I'm not detailed. So I gotta have someone around me who has details. I need to find me a phlegmatic. I need to find me a melancholic who has details. But I need to find all those because we need them all to be a good leader. Choleric, they get to the point. They ain't in a hurry. They're to drive fast. Okay, more than that later. As Peter was the greatest sanguine, incredible sanguine. I'm going to talk to you about Peter. See your notes. Peter's name is mentioned more in the Gospels than any name except Jesus. Peter speaks more than all of the disciples combined. Jesus speaks more to Peter than any other disciple. Peter is rebuked more by Jesus than any other disciple. And Peter is the only disciple who rebukes Jesus. Think about that. Peter rebuked Jesus. Peter rebuked God. Okay, boom. I rebuke you, Jesus. Wow. No one confessed Christ more than Peter, yet no disciple denied Christ more than Peter. No one was praised more by Jesus than Peter, yet Peter's the only disciple that Jesus called Satan. Yet Jesus took this unschooled, untrained, big mouth, double-minded man and made him into the man of God that he became. He is called the Rock. He preached the sermon the first day on the day of Pentecost. He preached the birth of the church's sermon. He was the first guy to preach to the Gentiles. He wrote 2 books in the New Testament. So Jesus took this guy who was undisciplined, who was erratic, who went on emotions, who was always on a tangent, and the Holy Spirit got hold of this guy, and this guy became an incredible man of God for the glory of God for the church and for the world. How did that happen? God got hold of them. You see, what's got to happen to us, we all have our weak areas in our life. You can't make your weak area better. Now, Claire said a bad temper. You say all day long, I'm going to have a better temper. No, you won't. You can't do it. Amen? Amen. You can. But who can? The Holy Spirit can. When it comes to lust, sanguines have a hard time with lust. I'm going to quit lusting. No, you're not. No, you're not. Well, who can help you? The Holy Spirit can. Amen. Right? Yes. When it comes to fears, the one temperament that has more fears than anybody else, phlegmatics, they have a lot of fears. Abraham is a good example of a phlegmatic fears. Well, who can take care of my fears? God can, the Holy Spirit can. So you got to go that way, but you got to allow God to work in your life. And what happens is this: we think we can do it. We can't do it. Amen. Some more things about sanguines. They enter the room mouth first. When they enter the room, and they know they are the life of the party. And when they come into the room, here comes action right here. And you know a sanguine's in the house. Boom. They love telling stories. Usually about themselves. I did this and I did this. This is incredible. You won't believe what I did. And they will tell stories all day long. They never lack for friends. I mean, they have the ability to make you feel like the most important person in the world. A sanguine will come up to you and say, man, what's up? How you doing? And they'll say, man, blah, blah, blah. And you think, man, I am worried something else. And you aren't the most important person in the world until the next person comes in. And then they go to that person, and they'll make that person feel like, man, you're incredible, blah, 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 until the next person comes in. And boom, boom, boom. So, I mean, that's sanguines love people. They thrive on people. They thrive on activity. They just love it like everything. Riding in a car with a sanguine can be dangerous. Because as they're driving the car, they love making eye contact. And you're saying, watch the road. But I got to talk to you some. No, watch the road. That's what they do. They have big plans every day. I'm going to do this today, honey. I'm going to go outside and mow the yard. At 12 noon, the wife comes out, and the husband is not mowing the yard. And she doesn't hear the lawnmower. And she's saying, what's going on? And he's talking to the neighbor down the street about 3 hours before he gets the yard mowed. When it comes to eating, they eat everything in sight. When it comes to balancing a checkbook, are you serious? They don't care about a checkbook. They don't balance a checkbook. Cholerics don't care about checkbook. No. Can I tell you the last time I balanced a checkbook? July 1984. The last time. I just got out of college. I thought, well, I got to open a checking account. I looked at the checking account. I thought, well, and Carter said, you need to balance it. I thought, never will happen. Never has happened. Never will happen. I'll launch a checkbook. Whoa. Well, where's me a chair? Let me find something. Well, when it comes to marriage counseling, and I'm sitting down with couples that I'm going to marry, the first thing I'm going to ask them, I will say something like this. Do you know your temperament? And they will say, I don't know. And I will say, who's good with money? Who? Do you know what's in your checking account? Yes. I'll ask the guy, do you know? I have no idea. Well, guess who we won't bounce the checkbook, y'all? Because what's going to happen, they're going to get married. They don't know this kind of stuff. Before you know it, they're in intensive fellowship over money. You find over money, right? And so it's best you find out who is the detailed person, who is the person with all this stuff, because you see, you're going to have that marriage. But if you don't know that stuff going into a marriage, before you know it, it's tough enough for it because the in-laws put their nose in the marriage too much. Thank you. Amen? You get married, and that means mom and dad, shut up. You're not in the marriage. And the in-laws cause more trouble in a marriage than anything else. Another sermon, I got sidetracked. See, but that's the same one. We go from point. Are you with me? So you need to know this stuff right here. Weakness of a sanguine, they're weak-willed. This is not good, so I'm going to tell you. They are emotionally unstable. They are explosive temper. They're restless. They're very egotistical. They are voted in high school most likely to succeed, and they never do. They never do. And so what they do, here we go, y'all. You ready to hear this? Sanguines will cover weak areas in their life with a lot of communication. So my point is, if I can talk your head off of it, if I can keep the communication going, and if I can keep the communication going and keep it forward, you won't ask me any questions. If you don't ask me any questions, you won't find the flaws in my life because I don't want you to know the flaws in my life because I'm really messed up. Most sanguines are very weak. They have low self-esteem. That's why they have to talk so much. They want to feel like I'm important. Look at me, hear me, see me. That's why I got to talk. What do you think? Everybody's quiet. We got to be the life of the party. We got to check it out. We got to get going. Look. What we're trying to do, we're trying to cover a weak interior because we're really hurt inside and frail inside and you're being burnt by life. And so we're trying to say a lot of things to cover so you won't look at my wounds. Happy day. Are y'all with me this morning?
Yes. Amen.
It's amazing. So I got a question. How did Peter go from being weak-willed, unstable, undisciplined, restless, big ego, loud, full of himself, fearful, quick-tempered? How did he go from that to being the guy who preached the first sermon on the day of Pentecost? It's mentioned in Acts, the first chapter of Acts more than anybody else. Wrote 2 books in the New Testament. Became the pillar of the church. How did that happen? Yes, the Holy Spirit of God. how can I say this? I said this in the first service. I could tell people got mad at me. You know, John the Baptist said, he said, I must decrease and he must increase, right? So, you got to see a whole lot less of me and a whole lot more of God. The opioid epidemic is hard. Alcoholism is hard. It's an addiction. I can't break myself from it, be it drugs, alcohol, gluttony, gossip, bad temper, whatever it is, but it's something I can't break myself from. Can I tell you an addiction that's worse than opioids, an addiction that's worse than alcohol, an addiction that's worse than food? It's you. You are addicted to you. And you think you can do it. You can't do it. I like to bring some old people up right now that go from the first service is like 95 years old and have me say this to you. I've had this problem in my life for 95 years. And at 95 years old, you would think I would have it out of my life, but it's still in my life. Well, why is it at 95 years old you still have that problem in your life? Because you think you can knock it out of your life and you can't do it. God, I'm sorry for this bad temper. I promise it never happen again. What do you think? God, I'm so depressed. I got to get better. I got to get a better frame of mind. I just got to do better. Put anything you want to. It doesn't matter what it is. But the key denominator that really messes us up is that we think we can do it. That's our problem. We can't do it.
Amen.
Right?
Right.
That's where the Holy Spirit's got to come in and do a work in your life. What happened to Peter? And then you get transformed by God's power and you live in His Spirit and you live a great life. But what messes us up all the time is me. Us. Matthew 16. Oh, there, Josh. Jesus came to the district of Caesarea Philippi. He was asking his disciples, who do people say that I am, the Son of Man is? And they say, well, some say John the Baptist, some say Elijah, some say Jeremiah, one of the prophets. He said, then who do you say that I am? Look, he spoke up. Peter, what do you think he's speaking up? He spoke more than anybody. You know why? He's the same one. I'll tell you who you are. But he does. I'll tell you, he speaks more than anybody in the New Testament with Jesus. Peter does. I'll tell you who you are. You are the Christ, the Son of the living God. Everyone say amen. Amen. That's good. That's where Jesus said, blessed are you, son of Jonah, because flesh and blood don't believe. Who's in heaven? Also say to you, Peter, upon this rock, that's why I call it the rock. Upon this rock, I'll build my church. The gates of hell shall not overpower it. And I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. And whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. And he warned them, don't you tell anybody I'm the Christ. That's first. From that time on, Jesus began, I'm going to paraphrase, he began to say, listen guys, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go to Jerusalem, and they're going to kill me. I'm going to rise from the grave on the third day, and I'm coming back. Next verse. Peter took him to the side and rebuked him. Now this is the same guy who a few verses before, or what, 5 verses said, you're the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus says, that was not revealed to you by flesh and blood, but by the Spirit of God in heaven. And 4 verses later, Jesus takes the same guy and says, he rebuked him. Peter rebuked Jesus. God forbid, Lord, I should never this happen to you. Next verse. But he turned aside and said to Peter, get behind me, Satan. A few verses before he said, God showed you that. And a few verses later he said, hey, you're Satan. You're trying to mess me up. Big time. Keep on going down. I think we can stop. That's it. Jesus said to his disciples, if anyone wishes to come after me, he must deny himself. Okay, wrap this up. When you came to follow Jesus, it was on this condition. On April the 28th, 1980, I gave my heart to God. I remember some of the prayer. I remember I knelt down here for Western Church. Man, this guy over here at Park Street was saying, let go. Doug Winslow was saying, hang on. I thought, what do I do? So I'm praying, but I knew this. I'm lost. Man, I'm on drugs, marijuana, alcohol, messed up, I stuttered. That wasn't even my main problem. That was a pretty big problem. But couldn't pray. All that. But I remember I prayed this. I said, Lord, I am so messed up. Take my life. I mean, now when I prayed that prayer on April 20th, 1980, it was on this condition, that I would never see what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Right? That from that day on, it's no longer my life, it's whose life? His. So if you're a Christian, it's not your life. Right? Whose life is it? His. But what happens is, the old saint said it this way. You go on the altar, you crawl on the altar, but what happens to you and I? We crawl off the altar of being dead, and we want to walk around. And God says, no, you got to die daily, and every day you got to say, God, I give my life afresh to you, and I die daily, and sacrifice me on the altar that I don't live. My biggest problem is me.
Yes.
You thought it was your spouse. You thought it was your boss. You thought it was your kids. It's you.
Yeah.
We don't want to own I'm the problem. Yeah, but Charles, they messed me up. I don't care. Do you know how many people's messed me up? I've been eating with these teens. And I tell them this. I said, you know what? I was so messed up as a child, as a teenager. And do you know why I was so messed up? Can I tell you why I was so messed up? Because God knew that in 2019, I'd be sitting down at Chili's with someone named you, and you're messed up. But guess what? I was messed up too. And God took me, and I learned from being messed up, and I can tell you right now how you can take your life, and it's messed up, and it's screwed up. You know what's going on in your life? You're in great company, because I was messed up too, but God took me and other people and infused me with the power of God and changed my life so I can talk to you now and tell you there is a way, and Jesus Christ is the way.
Amen. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's how you learn about life. All the bad stuff that's happened in your life, God can take, you can learn, because He'll bring people in your life and you'll say, that was me. That was me. But you won't learn if you think you can do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Skip. It's all good. I brought up another Bible. Galatians, please. I'm reading this out of the Message. Reading out Galatians 5. Fruits of Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, self-control. You know, all of the fruits of the Spirit. And God says, the fruits of the Spirit is the Holy Spirit, right? Listen. This is good. Are y'all with me?
Yes.
Okay, children. Galatians chapter 5, verse 19. He's talking to Christians. Listen to this. It's obvious what kind of life develops out of trying to get your own way all the time. Me. Talk to Christians. It's obvious what kind of life develops out of trying to get your own way all the time. Repetitive, loveless, cheap sex. You want somebody to love you. Well, I have sex with, they'll love me. You go have sex. It's repetitive. It's cheap. It's repetitive. It's cheap. It's over. You get out of bed. You look at the person you just had sex with. You know they don't love you. You don't look yourself anymore. Well, now I'm really messed up. I wonder how many people's in the room today just having repetitive, loveless, cheap sex. They could be with your spouse. Your self-esteem still shot. Esteem an accumulation of mental and emotional garbage. I just worry all the time, man. All I do is worry and I worry and I worry and I worry and I can't sleep at night. Friends that enjoy this grabs for happiness. Well, this will make me happy, I'll do this. This will make me happy, I'll do this. Make me not happy. Trinket gods, what's that mean? Oh, have you read the latest book that's out? It's incredible. And that gets you pumped up a little bit. Then you go to another book, and pumped up, and another book, and pumped up, but they just don't really satisfy. Magic show religion, paranoid loneliness, cutthroat competition, all-consuming yet never satisfied wants, a brutal temper, an impotence to love and to be loved, divided homes and divided lives, small-minded and lopsided pursuits, the vicious habit of depersonalizing everyone into a rival, uncontrolled and uncontrollable addictions, ugly parodies of community. I could go on. Look at this now. This isn't the first time I warn you, believers. You know, if you use your freedom this way, if you use your what? Freedom, your freedom this way, you will not inherit God's kingdom. Now, he's not talking about going to heaven. He's talking about God wants, He has a life for you on earth that's absolutely amazing with power. But if you keep on doing things the way you want to do it, you'll never be happy.
Yeah.
You'll never be happy. You think you can find love through this person, or that person, or that person, or that person. They won't make you happy. And here's the fruits, which is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness. Here we go. Verse 23, but what happens when we live God's way? He brings gifts into our lives, much the same way that fruit appears in an orchard. Things like affection for others. Wow. It's exuberance about life. That means I love life. Serenity. I have peace in my life too. We develop a willingness to stick with things. You know, I don't give up. I don't try this and quit, try this and quit, try this and quit, try this and quit. A sense of compassion in the heart, a conviction that a basic holiness permeates things and people. We find ourselves involved in loyal commitments, not needing to force our way in life, but able to marshal and direct our energies wisely. What's the difference, Charles? You allow the Holy Spirit of God to control you because you can't do it. And I think God is saying to me and to you this morning, give up. Nothing's going to make you happy but me. I've given you freedom. Why are you running to the things of this world to try to get free and find happiness? It's found in me. In me. What we need to do is say, Lord, amen. And I give up. Are y'all with me this morning? Yeah. Let's all stand. You have got to have good self-esteem, boy. Self-esteem. Comes from God. I read a verse in Ephesians, this weekly Bible study. It talked about God's love is so incredible, the height, the width, the breadth, the depth. It's immeasurable. And Paul said, I don't have a word to describe how much God loves you. He made a word up. The Apostle Paul made up a Greek word in the book of Ephesians 3. Made one up as God's love is like, boom. You have no idea how much God loves you. And all he wants me to do and you to do is, Charles, let me rule your life. You can't do it. We're going to sing this song. It's a new song. We're going to sing for the next 4 Sundays. So get used to it. Amen. If you need to come pray about something, you come pray. If you need to come just say, Lord, this will take, I love you, whatever you want to do. But, of course, we'll be done. Play it, guys. Everyone said amen. The Lord's good, isn't he, church? Yeah, very much. Tim and John, I want you to sing midway through that again. And just sing it.